Hello everyone, Michael here for Tactica Imperialis. Welcome to today's video. I'm trying to keep my voice down simply because it's been wrecked. I don't know why. Well, my voice sounds funny, so if that comes across in the video, I do apologise. Today is a 40k theory, and this is a theory that, as you can probably have already read by the title, is quite controversial. Well, maybe anyway, particularly if you're a die-hard Space Marine fanboy or girl. I believe, or it is at least possible, that the biggest Space Marine chapters, by which I mainly mean the first founding legions, are Inquisition proof. It is impossible for the Inquisition to label them as traitors. At least unless they do something completely heretical. Like, I'm talking demonic possession and summoning and things like that. That is all the Inquisition can use to take them. The reason that I've come up with this theory is because of the Crimson Slaughter. Now, I made a video about the Crimson Slaughter. I made a pair of videos on them actually a while ago. I'll put them in the description if you want to go and have a look at them, because it's a very interesting and quite tragic tale to a point. But quick spoiler for the story of the Crimson Slaughter: they went rogue because they were branded renegades by the Imperium, by the Inquisition, for wiping out a planet for seemingly no reason. And that is horrible. It's a disgusting thing for the Crimson Sabres to have done, and they probably deserve them being branded as renegades. But there are bigger chapters who have done worse things and got away with it. Some of them have been blatantly in the Inquisition's face and got away with it, which is really bad. And this is a very long-winded way of saying that the biggest chapters can get away with basically anything. So let's look at a few examples. The Dark Angels, the classic, the one the Crimson Slaughter hates so much. They are so shady. Their whole fallen secrecy business is just not healthy for their relationship with the Imperium, with other Space Marines, with anybody, because they are just so untrustworthy. They will abandon their brothers, abandon their fellow Space Marines, and leave to go and hunt a Fallen. In the middle of a war zone, say, there's a Fallen resided 2 systems away. We've got to go and get him. We're off. Sorry, I know you're going to get wrecked by these orcs now, but we got to go. Nah, that's not right. That's just wrong. And a city has been housing a Fallen and he's been blabbing his mouth off in the streets. No problem. Wipe the entire population of the city out. Or maybe he's risen to become planetary governor, has begun to spread his ways and talk about his past. Never mind, kill the whole planet. Justify it however you want, we're going to wipe the whole planet out. Everybody knows, let's kill him. Let's kill them all, just because of this one dude. Is that fair? Of course it isn't. Is that right? No. It's traitorous behaviour. I mean, yes, the planetary governor example is pretty bad, but because of one random dude in the street shouting his mouth off in the central city square about his past as a Space Marine, even if everyone thinks he's a complete lunatic, oh, never mind, they've heard about it, we've got to kill them all. That's not right. That's treacherous behaviour. Why have they not been sanctioned for it? Why have they not been sent an official sanction for abandoning brothers in a war zone and leaving them to die? Why have they not been sanctioned for wiping a city's populace out for seemingly no reason with no evidence to show why they did it? Because they're the Dark Angels. They are a first founding chapter, and the first legion. They have 4 or 5 successors that I know of anyway, and they are just too big. If you are an Inquisitor and you say the Dark Angels are traitors, what have you done? Well, you've lost a legion, or you've lost 1 chapter, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 chapters, because there's no way the successors to the Dark Angels are going to betray their own primogenitor, particularly not in the case of the Dark Angels, because, well, they're like that with each other for reasons. So you've just lost 6 chapters, which means you've lost 6 worlds, or 5 worlds in the Rock, which means you've lost 5 systems, because unless there's other Space Marines in that system, they can conquer it without trying. They're Space Marines. Come on. What else have you lost? Well, your loss is Chaos's gain. The Fallen can now rejoin the Dark Angels and bolster their strength. basically giving you another chapter's worth, let's say, maybe even more. And all of them are now traitors. And when you live as close to the Eye of Terror as the Rock has been seen to be, well, Abaddon is just going to say, thank you very much. Thank you for this 600 Marines that you've just given me. 6,000 Marines or more that you've given me. It is 1,000 Marines to a chapter, isn't it? 1,000 chapters of 1,000 space. Yeah, 1,000. 6,000 Marines. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. You've just bolstered my armies massively and just cost yourself a ton of space and systems. Thanks. You just can't do it. Now, I'm not saying they can't sanction the chapter. What they have to do is target the individuals. Captains. We've seen in the non-canonic Space Marine video game, a Space Marine captain of the Ultramarines be sanctioned by an Inquisitor and taken away for suspicions of heresy. That's non-canon, of course, but it does show that the Inquisition has some sway over individuals. But could they do that to Azrael? To Calgar? Dante? Grimnar? No. Simply because that's like basically saying the entire chapter is a bunch of heretics. Now let's talk about the Space Wolves. The Inquisition has big beef with Space Wolves. In the book The Emperor's Gift, which maybe is not canon, they basically had a Cold War with them because of Armageddon War #1. I won't go into full details because it's a very interesting book and you should probably read it, but it basically ended in a draw. The Inquisition still hates the Space Wolves. They still think they're mutants, traitors, and all that, up to a point here where maybe the current generation are a bit less bothered about it. But why did they not tell other Space Marines to kill the Space Wolves? Invade Fenris, because they blockaded it. Why not just invade? Well, could you name any Space Marine chapter that wants to assault the Fang? Go on. Me neither. I couldn't do it. I can't think of a single Space Marine chapter that would willingly assault the Fang. Yes, there are Inquisition-associated chapters. The Relictors come to mind. Would they assault the Fang? Probably, because, well, they have their debts. But they just die. The Thousand Sons Legion, led by Magnus the Red, could not breach the Fang. Well, they did breach it, but they could not wipe out the Space Wolves when there was one great company defending it. And Bjorn, admittedly. So what chance do you think anyone else has? Chance is none. You need a full legion to do it. Same with the Rock. Would any legion assault the Rock? No. No, they wouldn't. Because one, the Rock is a spaceship. It would just disappear, make it impossible to track and therefore invade. It's just horrible. It's a horrible situation for the Inquisition. And there are many more examples. The Blood Angels. The flaw within their gene seed, in a smaller chapter, would probably be seen as heretical. I mean, we have the Black Dragons who have what is essentially bone claws type of thing, and horns and things. The Inquisition hasn't sanctioned them, somehow. But the Blood Angels, that flaw has been known for millennia. Why have they not been sanctioned? Why have they not been told they are mutants? Because they're the Blood Angels. One, they are legends. Like that, the name the Blood Angels is awe-inspiring to the average Imperial civilian. And if you said the Inquisition wants the Blood Angels to die, say, no, you can't do that. They're the Blood Angels. That's wrong. The Inquisition is in the wrong. And I'm not saying the Blood Angels deserve it, because they don't. They are honourable warriors, and just some of them happen to go a bit bonkers. But by the logic of the Crimson Sabres, who were branded traitors for wiping out a planet, the Dark Angels should have gone, been labelled traitors. The Space Wolves, we've seen chapters go rogue for worse, for having any beef with the Inquisition. The Blood Angels, mutation, not as much of a track record for this, but it's a thing. The Raven Guard, very dodgy gene seed. They don't use it anymore. Like, seriously, the Adeptus Terra will not use the Raven Guard's gene seed if they can help it, because it's so dodgy, because of what Corax was doing in the Heresy. And there's probably more examples I could name if I had the time and the willpower to go and do the research. There are so many dodgy chapters out there. But the Inquisition can't tackle the big ones because, well, one, successors. Any chapter with successors will take its successors with it if it went rogue or was labelled as a renegade. Immediately. Like, Imagine if the Ultramarines went rogue. So many chapters look up to the Ultramarines. They would just join them, and you've got heresy all over again, except you've got nobody to defend you. Because all the Ultra Smurfs will just wipe you out. The Dark Angels, I come back to them. 4 or 5 successor chapters, plus the Fallen, who however many there are. Of them there are. You can't do it. The numbers are just too great. Successors, big issue. Second, finding a force to fight them. No guardsman, and I mean no guardsman, will want to go and invade a Space Marine homeworld. Not one. Not when he knows the name of the person he's fighting. Not when he knows this is Macragge, this is Baal, this is Nocturne, this is Chagoris. This is the home of the White Scars, this is the home of Sanguinius, this is the home of wherever. No guardsman's going to invade that. None. Even if they get dropped down there, they'll just surrender and say, we're sorry, we didn't want to be here, we stop, we'll fight for you. They'll do that because those names are so awe-inspiring, they'll just be won over with a click of the finger. And how many Space Marine chapters will do it? At least ones that would be capable of actually taking the fight to them. Could they do it mathematically? Yes, probably there's enough chapters out there. But the Fang, the Rock, Macragge as a whole system. Heck, if you want to technically wipe the Imperial fists out, you'd have to take out Terra. I mean, yes, they're all on Phalanx, but their official homeworld is Terra. It is just so difficult and so hard to go after them. Now, I'm not saying the Inquisition would be in the right to do so. I mean, the Dark Angels are shady as hell, but they still fight for the Imperium. The Space Wolves are very, very weird and very, very savage at times with the Wolfen and everything else, but they fight for the Allfather. The Blood Angels, while some of them are cripplingly mad, fight for Sanguinius, for the Emperor. All that has to happen for the Inquisition is that they leave those chapters alone. If you let them get on with what they're doing, they won't go. The only way that those chapters will go rogue is if you make them go rogue. So just leave them be, and they won't go anything crazy on you. It won't happen. I mean, they've left them alone for 10,000 years and they haven't gone rogue yet. Why would they start now? And that's the whole point. These chapters are so big that the Inquisition daren't trifle with them. Not because they're immune logically, well, not because they're immune by the Imperial Creed for what they've done. Some of them deserve it. But because logistically and logically, it is the worst decision the Inquisition could make. Heck, if you take one legion and say they are traitors, I don't think the other legions will go with them. I don't know. You brand the Dark... You tell the Space Wolves we want you to wipe out the Dark Angels. They won't do it. They don't like the Dark Angels. They're a bit distrustworthy with each other. I mean, they have ritual fights with one another every time they come together in a war zone because they're Primarchs. But on the Inquisition's orders? No. Would the Ultramarines do it? Probably not. Would any Space Marine Legion do it? No. If anything, any Legion with enough sway, I'm looking at the honourable ones here, the honourable ones, such as the Salamanders, if they were labelled rogue, would easily gather a following of other chapters, even if it's not their successors. It would just be a disaster for the Inquisition and for the Imperium to try and punish a chapter for what it's done with the big ones. And the real losers in this are the Crimson Sabres and all the chapters like them, who have done far less and been punished far worse than these big Inquisition immune legions. But that's just my opinion. It's a very controversial theory, and I know not everybody will agree with me. In the comments below, let me know what you think about this whole idea. Are some chapters Inquisition proof? And if so, why? If not, why not? And of course, make sure to suggest future ideas for theory videos. I'm always open to taking your ideas and making videos on them. My last theory video was a subscribe suggestion, so do feel free to get them in there. So that is all for today. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Michael for Tactica Imperialis, and until the next time, I'll see you all again. Bye for now.